Good morning. So I know that, at least for my part, during this COVID time and while we've been offering these morning devotions, we've been trying to do things that have been encouraging and maybe heartwarming and give us a kickoff start to the day, and that is all great. I just want to let you know right up front that my devotional today is going to be a little bit different. In the time of the New Testament church, they really struggled with the division between the Jews and the Gentiles. And even inside of the church, those who had grown up with a Jewish background and were Christians, and those who came to Christ from a Gentile background, Greek, Roman, Egyptian, whatever it might happen to be. And it's a little bit hard for us to even imagine how difficult that divide was. Paul talks about it pretty frankly in Galatians. This is chapter 3, starting in verse 26. For you are all sons of God through faith in Christ Jesus. For all of you who were baptized into Christ have clothed yourself with Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither slave nor free man, there's neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. We're all one. And I want to flip over to the Old Testament. The prophet Amos was writing to God's people. And at this point, they seem to really delight in going to the temple, all their religious festivals. But their everyday life wasn't matching up to what God said they needed to be like. So this is Amos chapter 5. God, speaking to his people, said, I reject your festivals, nor do I delight in your solemn assemblies. Talking about their big special days of worship. For us, that would be talking about things like a Christmas Eve service, Easter Sunday. Even though you offer up to me burnt offerings and your grain offerings, I will not accept them. And I will not even look at the peace offerings of your fatlings. Take away from me the noise of your songs. I will not even listen to the sound of your harps. But let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an everlasting stream. So I am deeply disturbed by the state of our country, and particularly what has come to light in just the most recent events. The horrific shooting of Ahmaud Arbery while he's out for a jog, and the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. And I'm sure that all kinds of circumstances and contingencies are going to come up, and why someone acted in a certain way, an officer acted in this way. None of that will make up for or justify what happens. Being someone who out jogs, being an adult who sends students out to go jog, students of color, that incident shook me. And I watched the video from Minneapolis, and it was sickening. As followers of Christ, we have to understand that addressing this issue of this deep-seated racism that exists in our country is not just a social justice issue. It's not a political issue. For those of us who are followers of Christ, this is a biblical issue. It's a biblical issue. This is at the very heart of what it means to love your neighbor as yourself. The Good Samaritan who crossed lines and cared for someone else. And we have to be willing to step in and address this. Parents, you have to have a conversation with your children about these events and what happened. And then it has to show up in your everyday conversations with them as you interact with people of color. And we need to have these conversations around the water cooler at work and with our friends on a Zoom call. And we need to work to make sure that inside of our schools, inside of our companies, there's not even a hint of the attitude that led to these kinds of horrific events. And we have that unique opportunity inside of a democratic society to speak up, to take action, to vote, to hold our officials accountable, to make sure that nothing like this would ever happen in our community. And yes, we have to pray. And yes, we have to realize that this is about changing people's hearts. But it doesn't mean that we only go off in a corner and pray. So let me ask you, what are you going to do?